Strickland, licensed mental health therapist here with VisionWorks Counseling and Coaching. Today we're going to be talking about ADHD, isolation, and ways to cope. So, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder can make it difficult for people to form social relationships. And oftentimes, people who struggle with ADHD also experience symptoms of isolation. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how ADHD can induce these symptoms of isolation. And we're also going to talk about ways to cope and manage it. So anyone can feel lonely, of course, but some people can be more susceptible to loneliness due to discrimination, lack of understanding, or how they relate to the world. That includes people with ADHD, who sometimes relate to the world a little differently than others. So, here are some ways that ADHD can contribute to loneliness and isolation. You might not feel like you belong. People with ADHD often struggle with challenges that others don't, like impulsivity, forgetfulness, or problems with focus, are some of those challenges. So, at times, you might just feel different or like you don't belong when you're in different social settings or faced with different social challenges. Rejection sensitivity. People with ADHD can be especially sensitive to rejection, which can mean a great pain and grief. Again, you are experiencing some differences, right? And those differences will have you comparing yourself to others, and it does make you hypersensitive to rejection. So a lot of times we might not put ourselves in social situations due to that fear of rejection. Trouble with social skills can also lead to feelings of isolation. Another hurdle is being more social in social norms. You may struggle with small talk or break social rules, for example, by frequently interrupting others. Sometimes we feel like we just need to get something out, right? But in the meantime, we're interrupting the person that we're conversating with. That's that impulsivity aspect as well. Difficulties concentrating, zoning out of conversations. Have you had friends or family members that are like, "Did you just hear me? Like, hello, are you there?" Sometimes we're zoning out of conversations, and it could cause a barrier to being able to properly communicate with others. We learn our social skills through interacting with others, but as a person with ADHD, you may have struggled to connect with other children, like if you experienced ADHD in childhood or adolescent years, or even experience bullying. As time goes on, those certain experiences can affect how you embrace others throughout life and even into your adulthood. Difficulty making friends can also be a big influence of isolation if you have ADHD. You might regularly arrive to meetings late. You might forget important dates. You might reply to messages days later or even weeks later. Or you might look like you're not listening to what the other person is saying. So all of these are like social barriers that could cause isolation. And of course, with isolation comes low self esteem. Um, so, just being mindful of the different types of struggles that ADHD present and how it can influence being isolated is very helpful. Now, let's also talk about ways to cope. Journaling. Try journaling. Yes, it's a oldie but a goodie. Writing down your emotions and thoughts is a great way to understand what you want and what you are afraid of. Those fears of rejection, fears of social situations, right? You can try to define your fears and barriers when it comes to meeting other people through journaling. Get it out of here, put it onto paper, write it down. It helps make sense of all the things, and it also helps with organization, which we'll talk about that soon. Putting all these feelings into words can also help you figure out your next steps. Asking for help. So if we're battling isolation, we're feeling alone, reaching out to other people that you trust and ask them to help identify certain social skills or things that you could improve of can bring awareness to you. Sometimes it's hard to take a perspective outside of our own self unless we're literally holding up a mirror, right? So reaching out to people who you trust and being able to be receptive to their feedback could also help with some of those feelings of isolation. Maybe you could work on your active listening skills. Maybe we do need to practice not interrupting others as we conversate. Maybe we do need to follow up more, making sure you attend that birthday party or whatever it was that you were invited to continue working on that socialization, to continue building those friendships to help reduce some of that isolated feeling. Try not to take these suggestions as criticism, but as an opportunity to grow. Remember, you must be receptive as well. Let people understand you better. At times, it's hard to understand our own selves. That is why we have to gain knowledge about ourselves. We have to seek awareness of ourselves. We have to go internal and really study ourselves, because if we don't understand ourselves, how are we going to help someone else understand us? So, explain to your friends and loved ones how forgetfulness or poor focus are elements of ADHD and not your lack of care of affection. It's not that I don't care about you, but I struggle with focusing, or sometimes things are I forget certain things at times, so really explaining this to the people that you love and care about could really help continue that bond that you all have, and break some of those social barriers and reduce some of that isolation. We spoke a little earlier about organizing. So organize your time. So if you struggle with maintaining your friendships or finding time to meet, you can try to come up with a regular meetup, like monthly coffee dates, hiking trips, some shopping dates, whatever it may be, even Zoom dates, right? COVID put us in a weird situation where we had to connect with others online versus being in person. We can still utilize those techniques today, where if I'm not able to physically meet up with you, let's hop on Zoom, let's get on FaceTime, let's just chat, even if it's for 5 minutes, to just continue keeping that connection. Finding new ways to connect with people. Go out, meet people, try something new. Maybe join your local support group for people with ADHD. Just surrounding yourself around people and socializing in general could help relieve some of those symptoms of isolation. Check out your local community center or upcoming events in your area. And if they just so happen to have maybe a yoga or Tai Chi or meditation event, that's a bonus, because movement is also great for helping with ADHD, especially meditational movement that causes you to be stable, focus in, balance the mind, right? Such as yoga or Tai Chi. Movement helps with channeling that hyperactivity in a productive way and can transform impulsive behaviors into something positive. Also, last but not least, consider therapy. Therapy is a great space for you and a licensed professional to help process all the things in a constructive way. Therapy can also provide you the tools that you might be seeking or needing to help you manage those symptoms of ADHD and relieve some of those feelings of isolation. So, with that being said, if you or someone you know may be struggling with ADHD or some symptoms, don't hesitate to reach out to us. VisionWorks Counseling and Coaching.com. Reach out to us on here in the Healing Circle. And we will more than we will be more than happy to assist. We have a team of great therapists who are trained and specialized in this field. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a great one.